The answers that you're going to get with these powerful questions will help you to understand whether you are operating from the unconscious, limited identity of self, which is based on the past conditioning of fear, worry, doubt, pain, shame, guilt, anger, or whether you are aligned with your true self identity, which is free of all of the past conditioning and programming. Once you identify and clear the limited unconscious abundance blocks, you start to rise into abundance. Now, the level to which we consciously choose to invest ourselves in this process and shift and release our old conditioned programming determines the level to which you are going to rise into abundance that is available to you. Hello, amazing people. Welcome to Be Your Unapologetic Self podcast show. I am your host, Sharayu. My intention and purpose with this podcast show is to help you unleash your unique, authentic, unapologetic higher self so that you can break free of any limitations that you once thought were holding you back from having massive success and abundance that's meant for you. Welcome to this very special series of Rising into Abundance, where I take you through a process of rising into the abundance that is truly meant for you. This is a 3-part of series, of which this is a part 1. This is also the first step which is required to rise into abundance that is meant for us. And this first part is all about cleaning up your abundance blocks. Now, this podcast series and this information is for someone who wants to break free from their current limits and blocks of abundance in any particular area of their life. Now, I know that the moment you hear the word abundance, it's often correlated to financial abundance. But abundance, what I mean here, is in general meaning. And abundance in general means having more than enough or having plentiful. Now, it can be associated to any particular aspect of your life, not just financial, money, or income goals. So again, this is for someone who wants to break through their current limits, either in their income, money, or the results that they are getting, so that they can get rid of these repetitive limiting patterns and they can generate new results and breakthroughs, thereby rise into the abundance that is innately present and available to them. And if that someone is you, then please go ahead and listen to this podcast series. So I welcome you all again, and now let's begin with this first part of the series of rising into abundance. I'm going to begin to give you a very simple example of correlating this process of rising into abundance with that of growing a tree. So say for example, if you were supposed to grow a tree, then definitely the process starts by you sowing a seed. And for that seed to grow into a plant, there are certain prerequisites and certain requirements. First and foremost, what we need is a good quality seed. When I say seed, the seed here could mean your desire, which is for perhaps for abundance in any particular aspect, or success of your goal, any specific goal that you desire. Or the word seed here could also mean you yourself. Because at the end of a day, it is you as your entire being who is going to bring forth the desires, the visions, the success and the abundance that you desire to fruition. And more of this I'll explain as we go deep dive into this entire series. But in order to grow an excellent plant, a good quality plant or a tree, what we need to begin with is definitely a seed, good quality seed. Secondly, we also need a good quality soil. Now, what do I mean by good quality soil? Means that it should be free of any weeds or any unwanted matter which might disrupt the plant growth. Hence, we need to ensure that the soil is of really good quality and really of good nature. Thereafter, we also need to ensure that there is a proper condition for the tree to grow, like water, air, sunlight, etc. When all of these conditions are met, that seed, which already has the potential to become a tree, will then definitely grow that it is meant to become. Now, this exact same process we can relate to the process of rising into the abundance. And this first part of the series, which is cleaning your abundance block, can be correlated to the process of clearing and prepping the soil for your seed to grow. Seed being your desires and you yourself, which you will come to know as we go through the series by yourself. Because now imagine if that soil quality is not good, what will happen is that no matter how best is the quality of your seed, how much water or nutrients you add, it is going to hamper the growth of the plant. And similarly, for you to rise into abundance, first and foremost, you need to clear the abundance blocks. So, what are these abundance blocks? These abundance blocks are nothing but your unconscious programming and imprints that are stored in our physical bodies, which means our nervous system, and also in our minds in the form of any emotional response to a particular memory, triggers, or an energy block that gets formed based on our past experience. Now, let me give you an example which I think most of us can relate to. So, let's say for any reason, if you would have had a memory or an experience of a lack or a scarcity around money in your past or in your childhood, now what happens is that in response of that emotion towards that lack and scarcity, which we would have perhaps experienced directly or indirectly observing others, our caregivers, our parents, now that particular emotional response, it gets stored in our memory. It gets stored in our emotions and our nervous system, which then creates an imprint. Now, even though that wasn't relevant experience back then in our past, which created certain emotional responses within us, it gets stored and wired in our system, and thereby it tends to show up unconsciously in our life even later. More often than not, it tries to limit us in many ways. This is also the reason why our past experiences tend to wire us in a certain way. If we continue to operate from such limited past wiring and programming, we tend to behave and do things in a certain way, which basically limits us in a certain way. Now, there is also a reason why at times it is difficult for someone to try something new, to grow beyond their edge, or to step out of their comfort zone. It is simply because of these unconscious programs and imprints that would have got stored and wired in their body, in their minds, preventing them from getting into any kind of unfamiliar situation. Because our unconscious tries to protect us from the perceived danger. It tries to avoid and prevent us from feeling the similar kind of a pain or hurt which we would have felt in our past, like the example I shared earlier. So, our unconscious activates this self-protection mechanism, which is in the form of inner resistance, which causes us to stay in the limited repetitive situations. Now, our unconscious pattern and programming is definitely wired within us on various levels, not just in our memory and emotions, but also in our physical mind, in our physical bodies, in form of a nervous system. To allow and receive the flow of abundance that is available, we have to first and foremost clean up these unconscious blocks so that you can then release what is weighing you down, clear the soil, and thereby rise into the abundance that's truly meant and available to you. Now, you also need to understand here is that the source of these blocks is internal. It is your own negative energy of that scarcity programming, of that victimhood mentality, of that external limited conditioning, the unconscious fear, worry, doubt of stepping into the unknown. One also that emotion of not feeling safe in your body to receive the abundance you desire. Now, imagine if we just kept doing the part of keeping pushing hard, pushing hard, forcing hard to make things happen by doing more, thinking that we have to overwork, over hustle to make things happen and to achieve success and abundance without getting into this process. And that is what most often you see people around doing. But that does not give them the desired success or abundance. In fact, eventually they face a lot of stress, exhaustion, or burnout in the process. Okay, so having said all of these, now comes the question of how do you actually remove these unconscious abundance blocks? So, we start the process of clearing the blocks from our field the moment we start making that unconscious the conscious. You see, our unconscious or subconscious, it runs almost 95% of our life. So these programs are running our life and 95% is governed by this unconscious. In fact, it is only 5% which is dependent on our conscious mind. Once we make this unconscious conscious and release the conditioned programming, we start to clear up these blocks. One of the most effective ways to do that is to first and foremost question your limited thoughts and beliefs that you have around the stories of fear, doubt, and worry. Observe the sensation in your physical body whenever you have such kind of a triggers or emotions towards doing something, towards pursuing some things, when you try to limit yourself. Observe the sensation and the emotions in your physical body, not just in your mind, but also in your physical body. And just observe, acknowledge, and just be present with that sensation. Once you acknowledge, understand the root of these emotions, uncover the root cause of these blocks, you would make them conscious, which then leads to clearing them from your system. Now, these takes definitely a lot of deep work, wherein we go into a deep, powerful transformational tools. But in this podcast series, what I will help you all to really clear such kind of unconscious block is give you some very powerful introspection questions, which are also equally powerful to help you bring awareness to these limited beliefs, thoughts, or identities. And thereby you can start shifting from this limited scarcity programming into the abundance consciousness. To do this, first and foremost, you need to be present in your body, which means get rid of all the distraction, dedicate some time for yourself, and connect with your heart and body. You can do some deep breathing, do some grounding process, and then proceed to answer this question. Another very important tip here is to not overthink. Just notice the first thing that comes to your mind. That often is the answer to your question. So are you ready for this powerful question? Here is your first question. Ask yourself how it is helpful for you to have your desires and visions fulfilled now. How it is beneficial for you to have this abundance. How it is beneficial for your own personal reason and how it can benefit even others for their greater higher good. Now, most often if you cover both these aspects, which is of personal advantage or personal good reason, of course reason has to be of good and of higher benefit to one and all involved. The better it is for everybody involved, the better the chances and better you are aligned to that particular desire of success abundance. So again, your first question is to ask yourself how it is helpful for you to have your desires and vision fulfilled now, both personally and even for the greater higher good of all. The second question is how it is helpful for you to not have this desire. I'll again repeat. You need to ask yourself how it is helpful for you to not have this desire met. Now, this is a very, very powerful counterintuitive question, but it is going to help you uncover the hidden unconscious motives for not actually having that desire which you definitely want to have. Well, let me give you an example. So let's say, for example, you want to receive more success and abundance, but unconsciously you might feel that your desires are too out of reach, that you cannot have what others have. So you either just procrastinate or self-sabotage. But doing the deep inner work, you realize that the underlying pattern behind that procrastination or not going for what you truly want is actually an unconscious block, like not feeling safe to receive what you want. Fear of failure perhaps, or fear of overwhelm and stress, or doubting the process, or just due to the lack of evidence from your past experience. So these all patterns lead to creating an unconscious block whereby we label this new experience of having your desire met to be not safe or not within our reach. And thereby our unconscious activates our inner resistance. We try to avoid going behind our big goals and dreams, and we further procrastinate or we simply give up. So answering this question is going to uncover a lot of hidden beliefs, hidden motives, unconscious blocks that you might actually have towards having the desired success and abundance. I am also going to give you a bonus question here. This is also a very good question that can help you to release or clear your beliefs and thought. This is simply asking yourself, what beliefs do I actually have around my desired level of success and abundance? So you can just straightforward be clear and ask, like, do I think it is possible? Is it easy? Inevitable? Or do I think it's a struggle, difficult, or not possible? Now don't worry what the answer is coming to this question. Just accept and acknowledge it. Because whatever comes up right now is just your current baseline, which we are going to shift in this series. So don't worry about the answers. Remember, the answers that you're going to get with these powerful questions will help you to understand whether you are operating from the unconscious, limited identity of self, which is based on the past conditioning of fear, worry, doubt, pain, shame, guilt, anger, or whether you are aligned with your true self identity, which is free of all of the past conditioning and programming. Now, once you go through this process, once you identify and clear the limited unconscious abundance blocks, you start to rise into abundance. Now, the level to which we consciously choose to invest ourselves in this process and shift and release our old conditioned programming determines the level to which you are going to rise into abundance that is available to you. Once you practice daily upgrading your nervous system, belief system to align with this true self frequency and no more fall back to the old conditioning, feel safe in your body to receive the success and abundance you desire, you are going to be more of your true self. You are going to expand your capacity to do more and have more of what you desire. This is what we are going to cover in the further part of the series also. I also want to help you if you want to go deep in this process of cleaning. As I mentioned earlier, there are a lot of very deep transformational tools. There is one which you can try, which is a very, very effective body-based practices. And this is what I love doing, which is going on the deep level of physical body, nervous system level, because that is the place where actually our blocks are inevitably stored. And the more we clear there, the more we feel expansive and open. So one of the very effective technique which I personally use in my daily life also is EFT tapping, which stands for Emotional Freedom Technique. And with the use of right prompts, focus practice, you can release a negative emotional charge around any block. Then there are a lot of other techniques like neural energetic wiring, the identity part work, which I love the most again, which is very effective and very powerful to create some lasting transformational shift. Embodiment work, which again goes in wiring this new identity in our physical body, which I take through in my exclusive monthly coaching membership, The Rising Source. So this is a platform which is meant for you to stay aligned and step into your higher empowered self-identity to align with the success and abundance that you desire and even greater than that. So I'll be leaving the link for my monthly coaching membership, The Rising Source, which you can check and you can apply from the link in the show note of this episode. And I also offer exclusive 1:1 coaching, which is again to help you break free and break through to your next level of success and abundance. So this was it for the part 1 of the series of Rising into Abundance, which is all about cleaning and clearing your abundance blocks. Now let me know how did you find this episode. I cannot wait to share with you all the powerful part 2 of the series, which will be dropping soon. So thanks for listening to this episode. Do subscribe to my podcast show and so that you will be notified once the second part of the series will be published. Thanks a lot for listening to Your Success and Abundance. This is Shariyu Sawant, your host, signing off from here, and wish you a wonderful, wonderful day ahead.